Good evening, Manhattan, Kansas. It's your boy, Zach. Welcome back to another episode of the Vibe Check. It is good to be back in the studio this fine, little bit of a dreary Sunday. I didn't really expect it to rain this much. The weather's something, I don't know. It's kind of a weird mix of just warm enough to still be somewhat pleasant, but the rain's definitely keeping it down. But I've always been someone who kind of likes the rain, so I'm, not too pressed about it. All right, enough of the weather. So this week, we have got a bit of a chiller episode from our last 2 weeks. Last week I did the feature on Goose, which I got a lot of positive reception to Goose, so I'm glad you guys also enjoyed that band. They are definitely, I don't think they've done it quite yet, but they are definitely rivaling Pigeons for my number one spot in terms of just, the band that I'll die for both of them, but, ride or die for both bands, but Goose is definitely starting to edge out Pigeons for my favorite spot. But like I said, this week's a little bit more chill. Definitely a lot of new music. A lot of artists that I've only really just started kind of getting into. Some of them just kind of told. I found a lot of these artists just kind of through like word of mouth. Just talking with some like old friends that I used to go to Scamp with, and just some like recommended stuff that was on Spotify. As I was building on the Vibe Check playlist that I have on there that I pull all this music from. Excuse me. So yeah, it'll be a little bit chiller of an episode. We'll kind of dip into a little bit more variations of genres than I think we have in the past few weeks, but a lot of stuff that I think, in a weird way, they're in this, all of the songs that I have today are definitely in this kind of jam band, like funk rock genre that I usually play on the show, but I feel like a lot of these artists are kind of either lesser known or a little bit more underrated. When I've done a little bit more research on them and just looking at their fan base and the size of their fan base. So it'll be nice to kind of rep some little guys today. So I'm excited about that. So I do want to go ahead and get into the first song. It'll be a good kind of set the tone for the hour, I think. And I have to tell you the story about the first song that I'm going to play. So the first song that I'm going to play is called Casa de Mel. It is a single from the artist Brad Goodall, and he actually has kind of a funny story about this song in particular. It is like his one song that kind of blew up. Oops, sorry, I'm having issues with my headphones. Couldn't hear quite well. But essentially, it's the one song that he had that kind of blew up and put him on the map, so to say. He has a fairly devout, small following of listeners and a lot of people who like consistently buy his merch. He tours, and usually those tours kind of usually tend to sell out. But as I said, they're a little bit smaller usually. But this song, Casa de Mel, was actually written about. It's like an homage, or the whole song is a reference to when he was a dog walker in New York City or in Brooklyn. So he kind of jokes that like this song that he kind of not necessarily wrote all as a joke, but essentially he wrote as more of just like a humorous homage to his time as a dog walker, and that's the song that blew up. I think it got put on NPR's heavy rotation, and that's kind of like what put him on the map. So a little bit of an ironic twist there for him, but it's a really good song. So I'll go ahead and let you guys hear it so you can make your own judgments. This is Casa de Mel by Brad. Oops, sorry, almost messed up his name. By Brad Goodall here on Wildcat 91.9. And that was Casa de Mel by by Brad Goodall. Shoot, lost my notes there for a second. I could not remember his name in the moment, but yeah, that was Casa de Mel. Something a little bit more, I would say, just funk rock rather than anything psychedelic like we've played the past couple of weeks. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I think it was definitely a good tone setter for the rest of the hour. I think a lot of the stuff I'm going to play today is much more funk rock jam band, like just straight jam band stuff rather than dipping more into like psychedelic rock. I will play a little bit of that, I think, in one or two of the songs that I play this evening, but for the most part we're going to be keeping it kind of funky, kind of groovy tonight, and honestly I'm kind of excited about that. That's nice to just kind of chill out and listen to some nice groovy music every once in a while. I hope you agree. Alright, so the next band that I wanted to showcase to you guys is another band that has a bit of a smaller following, even though they have been around for a while. They've actually been around since about 1992 or 93, I believe, and I believe they're originally from, I want to say like Minnesota, yeah, sure, Minnesota. Somewhere here in the Midwest for sure, I know that. But that is actually the band The Big Woo. They are a group of four, and I believe, I don't happen to know the members' names off the top of my head, mainly because I know they have kind of swapped in and out over the years, and some guys have left and come back. So I'm not 100% sure what their current roster is at the moment. But they are a band kind of they're similar to a lot of the other bands that I featured on the show. They kind of dip their feet into a lot of different genres, specifically like bluegrass, jazz, rock, funk, psychedelic, a little bit of R&B sometimes. But they are really known. The main thing they're well known for is just the very active touring schedule that they usually had, especially before COVID. Right now, I don't really know. I think they're kind of taking a little bit of a hiatus because of COVID, and honestly, that's fine with the scheduling that they usually had before that. I completely understand wanting to take some time off, so maybe COVID was a blessing in disguise for them in that way. But they have a quite a long discography just from being around since the early 90s. But what they're really known for is more of their tours rather than their like recorded like studio stuff. And they have a lot of really good live recordings. I would definitely recommend listening to some of those, even though I decided not to play live recordings mainly because, as you know, a lot of the live recordings that I play on this show or live recordings that bands in this kind of genre have tend to be extremely long, which I love, but that's not always super conducive to a show where I'm trying to show you multiple bands in one singular hour. Excuse me. So why don't we go ahead and get into this song. This is Kangaroo by the Big Woo here on Wildcat 91.9. And that was Kangaroo by the Big Woo here on Wildcat 91.9. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. A little bit more funky, a little bit more chill than well, I don't know. I guess Casa de Mel and that one were pretty chill, but this next song that we are about to get into to shift topics very quickly is definitely going to be a little bit more higher energy. It comes from a group. This is the Floozies, which is actually a band that I believe I have showcased on the show maybe once before, if my memory serves me correctly. And I believe they also have been just in the rotation on the station. They actually originated, fun fact, from Lawrence, Kansas. So, we can't, I'm a little bummed out we can't say Manhattan is where they came from. But yeah, they actually are from Lawrence, and it's originally they're from Lawrence, but then they kind of like moved over to KC and did some stuff, and then I think right now they're doing they've done some stuff over in Colorado, but originally they're from Lawrence. Like they're a Kansas band, so we got one. We got one cool band. No, we got a lot of cool bands. We got a lot of really great local musicians that you should definitely look into. I know we have a lot of their stuff. Sorry, this is just me now I'm just making an ad for all the local musicians from Manhattan. But yeah, we have a lot of really good local bands here and just in the Kansas area in general. So do you support local musicians? You should do that by just like helping them out, just supporting them, listen to their music. Excuse me. But yeah, so to go back to what I was talking about, to the show itself. The Floozies are actually a band from Lawrence, Kansas. They are a little bit more of a electronic funk rock group, definitely a little bit higher energy and a little bit different tone than the last two groups that I've just shown you. And their stuff definitely varies a lot in sound, I would say, depending on whether or not they want to go more electronic or more rock on a given track. But this one I think is a pretty good mix of both of them. If memory serves, I mean, yeah, I remember. I just listened to this when I downloaded it. But yeah, I think it strikes a good chord between kind of going in between those two genres. So I think you guys will like it, and I will go ahead and get right into it so that way we can keep moving right on through the hour. This is Cheese by the Floozies here on Wildcat 91.9. And that was Cheese by the Floozies here on Wildcat 91.9. Definitely a very good mix of funk rock and electronic, I guess electronic bebop, I think is the name of the specific genre, subgenre that I'm associating with that sound. I might be wrong, I might be right. Follow me on Instagram and tell me. Yeah, that's right. A shameless plug for following me on Instagram. I will use this opportunity to remind everyone that if you are interested in any of the music that I play during the show, or if you just kind of want to know more about the bands or where you can find their music, I do post a full set list on my Instagram story after every show. Most of the music that I pull for this show, I usually get off Spotify, Apple Music, or SoundCloud. Usually it's off of Spotify just because that's where I like first listen to it. And that's kind of, I guess, yeah, it's where I listen to it. So that's like, I usually post those links on my Instagram story because, it's just easy. It's very easy just to share that way, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe that's just what I'm used to. But yeah, like I said, if you're interested in just finding the songs or finding the artist anywhere, you can follow me on Instagram. Just search Zach Perez on Instagram. I'll probably be one of the first people who pops up, especially if you're in the Manhattan area. Give me a follow, and you will get a set list at the end of every show on Sunday. So an easy way for me to share all this music with you amazing people. All right, so we are going to keep trucking right along. The next band that I wanted to feature, I had a trip trying to figure out how to pronounce this group's name. It's just now I'm second guessing myself now that I'm actually about to have to say it on air. It's Euphorchestra, I believe is how it's pronounced. It's kind of like it's a mix of euphoria and orchestra. That's essentially that's the gimmick of the name, I suppose. Excuse me. But they are another. I would say they still fit into the electronic genre, but I don't think they're as intensely into it as the Floozies are, or at least that specific track was from the Floozies. They're much more of a kind of like rock, like high energy, like kind of like rhythm band almost, like really good, I don't know, like good dance music. That I feel like that makes sense. Like it'll make sense when you hear it. And also if you're just a fan and you've listened to their music before, I think that makes sense as well. I have not personally listened to them as much as I would like to. I've heard this song and then a couple of other of their studio recordings, and I've also seen a couple of live show videos, and they are very, very good. So yeah, I think you guys will definitely get the use of that that use of that description once you hear the music. And they've actually worked. I'm trying to remember. I think it was one of their like more recent like full length albums. They actually the album was actually produced by one of the guys from the String Cheese Incident, which is a band that I featured I think in at least 2 episodes of this semester actually. So I do want to put more String Cheese Incident tracks on this show because they're very, very good, especially their live recordings. I haven't done any of that yet. But yeah, they've worked with a little bit with that band, and they've worked with a lot of different bands kind of in this genre, especially like a lot of the bands that like tour and go to festivals during the summer. So yeah, a little bit of a connections made everywhere in the music industry, I suppose. All right, so why don't we go ahead and get into this song? This is Road Funk by Euphorchestra. Euphorchestra. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, Euphorchestra. I got it. I did it. All right, this is Road Funk by Euphorchestra here on Wildcat 91.9. Road Funk by Euphorchestra. Yeah, there we go. Jeez. Keep getting in my head about pronouncing things, and I always think I'm going to sound like an idiot, and then I usually do make myself sound very not smart by second-guessing myself and stuttering a lot. So I guess that's like is that like a catch-22? Yeah, that's what that is. Anyway, that was Road Funk by Euphorchestra. There we go. I got it. I believe Road Funk's actually, it's one of the songs that they kind of prefer to play when they're on tour, specifically because they wrote it kind of just about being on tour. That's kind of what the name implies and what the lyrics implied. If you kind of take if you take a closer look at them, that's kind of what the song is about in general, lyrically, specifically. But yeah, it's really good. The live recordings they have of it are usually, in general, they're usually a lot longer, and they do a little bit more improvisational stuff with it. Excuse me, I'm talking too fast. But yeah, live recordings of that song are definitely very, very good. The song itself is very, very good, and I hope you kind of agreed with the description that I gave it in terms of it being a very nice like rhythm dance song. I think that's what a lot of their fans kind of tend to think of it as. I need to slow down so I stop like tripping over myself. All right, reset. Well, let's move into the next song. The next song I'm going to play for you guys is actually by a band that I know that I have featured pretty heavily on this show, which is Twiddle, and the song is called Every Soul. This is actually a I don't know. I think it's a feel good song if you really pay attention to the lyrics. It's kind of just about a little bit about like individuality and how you can find something special in every person, and every person can find something special in themselves. It's just a nice message, and it's also just a very good song instrumentally, and everything put together. I think it just sounds great. For as much as I like Twiddle, I don't think I listen to them enough, mainly because I think most of what I listen to I listen to from them is either in-person stuff from when I used to go to summer camp because they were there all the time, or their live set shows. I don't usually listen to their studio recordings, which is why I think it's kind of odd that I picked the studio recording of Every Soul to show to you guys today. I think it is probably one of their better studio recordings that I've heard. But Twiddle, I think in general they always just thrive in a live setting. They are like, I don't know if they're the best improvisational band that I've seen live, but they are definitely up there. I mean, that's kind of what Twiddle is known for. All of their live recordings or live sets go on for hours longer than excuse me, I'm tripping over myself again. But live recordings and live sets, if they were to just like play an album in their studio, or if you were to just listen through an album, a live recording of that album would go on hours longer just from how much they improv in a live show. And that's why I like this genre so much. I love when bands are able to just get up there and improvise and do amazing instrumentals, amazing vocals, and just kind of just make it up all on the spot. It's amazing, and it shows how talented a lot of these bands are, and Twiddle is definitely one of the more talented of them out there. So you know what, why don't we go ahead and get into this song so you guys can see what I am talking about. This is Every Soul by Twiddle here on Wildcat 91.9. Every Soul by Twiddle here on Wildcat 91.9. Gotta say, I love the piano solo that happens towards the end of that song. Probably one of the better just solos in general that's in a Twiddle song. I don't know why. I really like it. I really, really like the sound of it. All right, but we are going to go ahead and keep moving through the hour. I know I said that a lot, but I got a lot of stuff that I wanted to show you guys this week. The next band that we're going to play is actually, I don't really know much about them. This was kind of a late add to the rotation of the hour, I suppose. It was just a song that I saw that I had added it to my Vibe Check playlist on Spotify a while ago. And I just listened back through it, and I was like, wow, I kind of forgot that I added this, and I didn't really remember the band all that well. But if this song is anything to go by, you'll probably hear more from them at some point later in the semester or just in semesters to come. The song was, I don't know. I thought originally when I heard it, I didn't think necessarily maybe it fit the vibe of the show, but after listening to it again, I think it kind of fit well in there. It's definitely a little bit more vocal heavy than a lot of the tracks that I've played, especially today or just in general. But it piqued my interest, and I want to hear more from this band, so maybe you guys will agree. But either way, I hope you enjoy this song, so I'll go ahead and play it so I stop talking in circles. This is You Can't Hide by McTub here on Wildcat 91.9. That was You Can't Hide by McTub here on Wildcat 91.9. Good kind of elements of, I don't know, almost like soul music, I suppose. I don't know, I don't, shoot. No, yeah, soul music, sorry. I don't know, I don't want to place that in the wrong genre. I don't know. Sometimes I get a little bit confused. My ears aren't as trained as I think they are sometimes. Either way, very good song, and like I said, I definitely want to feature them more on the show once I find a little bit more music and listen to that band a little bit more. So look forward to hearing more of them in the future. The second to last band that I wanted to show to you guys this hour is actually another band that was kind of a late add, kind of for the same reasons that McTub was something I was like, I don't know if they necessarily fit into what I really want to show in this episode or just in the show in general, but after listening to this song again and kind of hearing a couple of their other songs, I think they definitely are a good fit, and it's another band that I think you will probably hear more of in the future, and that is Circles Round the Sun, which actually started as it was just some friends who kind of got together to record. I think it was Grateful Dead instrumentals, not even full cover songs, just instrumentals for Grateful Dead songs, and then they formed a band around it, and they've got a small but dedicated following, and I think they are a little bit older than some of the other bands that I featured on this show, but why don't we go ahead and get into their song so I can show you guys at least one more song before the end of the hour. So why don't we go ahead and get into this. This is Money's No Option by Circles Round the Sun here on Wildcat 91.9. And that was Money's No Option by Circles Round the Sun here on Wildcat 91.9. It looks like we are just about out of time for this week's episode. I did want to make one announcement, something that's pretty exciting that I wasn't able to make last week because I didn't know about it until Thursday. So the Vibe Check is officially an award-winning radio show. We officially won a KAB, which is an award from the Kansas Broadcast Association for the best entertainment show. We won first place, so that's pretty cool. So now you can say, if you're a fan of the show, you can say that you listen to an award-winning radio show. I do want to thank everyone who's watched the show for that. It's really cool to get recognized for that, and it's just really cool that it's nice to know that people enjoy the show and that it's not just me talking into a void and it not being good. So I guess it's nice to have that validation. But again, thank you all so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. I love doing the show, and I love getting to share this music with you guys. So to end off this hour, I wanted to share a little bit more music. It is from the band that I did my entire episode on last week, Goose. Like I said, they dropped a live recording 2 days before last week's episode, and I didn't get a chance to listen all the way through it. So I found one more song from that live recording that I think is probably one of my favorites. It's not too long, but I did want to give enough time in the hour for us to finish it out. So I will leave you with this song. This is the live recording of 726 by Goose here on Wildcat 91.9. I'll see you guys next week.